Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Columbus Business Bee. I'm Rachel Ramsey, joined by Mark Somerson, the managing editor of Columbus Business First, where again, every episode we talk about all things business happening across Central Ohio. So, Mark, we're going to jump right into it, starting off with this story. The Fortune 500 energy company launching a new division in Central Ohio. So what is this division going to look like?
Well, this is an interesting story because the way we found it, we go trolling through records through the Franklin County Auditor, and noticed that this purchase was made for 8111 Smiths Mill Road in New Albany. We recognized that. That was the Bob Evans headquarters that they built a few years back, and they moved out. And this was built in 2013, and they were there for quite some while. They moved out, and it was purchased by 31 Gifts. 31 Gifts then moved out and then subsequently went bankrupt. But then we saw that the purchaser was a Houston-based crude oil and natural gas exploration and production business called EOG Resources. We made calls to EOG, and they said, yeah, we are creating this headquarters and for our new division here in Central Ohio. There's plenty of shale that they explore in for natural gas and oil, and they thought this would be a perfect place. It's not that old. It's huge, 770,000 square foot property, and 41 acres on this campus, and they're moving in. So it's actually a really good deal to have an older building that was set aside for years with nobody in there, and now you've got this major Houston-based oil and gas producing company moving in to these headquarters and starting up a new division here.
Now, with this new division, did they mention how many people are going to be employed with this?
Not sure at this point. I think they said 150 people at first.
Okay.
And then they'll move in after that. And it's big. It adds 670,000 net core acres to EOG's Utica position. And Utica is the shale that they explore in, and Ohio's got plenty of it. There was a huge boom a few years ago for Utica shale exploration for natural gas, and I don't think it's played out. It's all over the place. And they're creating this division where they can search and find and then capture and produce. And that's what they'll be doing. And now that they're set up in Central Ohio, we've got another huge business here that's taking up some land that's been left empty for so long. So good for Central Ohio. It's good for New Albany to have this building filled in. And it also means property taxes as well as income tax on the workers that'll be there.
And when is this division expected to open? Do we know if there's a legit time for that?
Not yet. They basically just said this is it reflects our commitment to operating and all of that, but they haven't said exactly. Probably this year. They hinted at this year. We're not sure exactly when, but we'll keep an eye on that and see how large this gets and what it means for New Albany and Central Ohio.
All right, perfect. So we're going to move on to the next story, restaurant news now. 2 restaurants in Delaware are closing. So what are those 2 restaurants, and when are they expected to close?
They're closing this month. It's 1808 American Bistro and Rosebuds. These are Chef Josh Dalton's restaurants in Delaware. He's been there for quite some time, 17 years for 1808 American Bistro. He's the guy that's opening the new one at the former Milestone restaurant on Scioto Mile. He was just tapped for that last week. City and is very excited about this work, but at the same time, closing 2 restaurants, especially some that have been open for so long in Delaware, is a huge loss. He is prolific. He has a lot of restaurants in and around the area. He owns Veritas and Speck Italian Eatery in downtown Columbus. He's also developing Rosalita on North High Street in downtown. That's supposed to open next summer. So a lot of restaurants. He's got some new ones coming. And, of course, the former Milestone space he'll be moving into with a Mediterranean menu. But that had to mean, for him, I guess, something had to go. And so these 2 restaurants in Delaware are closing down this month.
Yeah, and that was kind of going to be my next question about, why they're closing. Because, 2 restaurants closing in Delaware, it's not good at all. But, again, if he has the plans to open this new Mediterranean place, which obviously a lot of people were not happy about that when that initially closed, the Milestone 229.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a loss for Delaware. I have a feeling they'll fill those spaces in pretty quickly. Delaware's growing so fast, and restaurants are always moving into former spaces. So I don't think those will sit idle for too long. For downtown Columbus, it's great news. For downtown Delaware, not so great news, but I think you'll see those filled in. And Chef Dalton said that he's super excited about this new spot. He hasn't said much about closing the other ones other than some social media postings where he said he really is sorry that this is happening. He's made great friends there. They've had loyal customers, and he's hoping they'll come to downtown Columbus and continue to eat his food, just at a different location.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. Of course, we'll be back with more business news coming up on Columbus Business Beat. We'll have NBC4 digital reporters David Reese and Ava Bodazar joining me to talk about more about business after this break. Welcome back to Columbus Business Beat. I have NBC4 digital reporters David Reese and Ava Bodazar joining me once again to talk about everything they have been working on. And again, we're just going to start calling this the food block because we always talk about restaurants. So, David, I want to start with you. Milo's Deli in Franklinton announced they have reopened after more than a decade. So, where is this deli located now?
Yeah, a lot of people were really excited about this. So, Milo's has reopened in Franklinton on West Town Street, taking over a space formerly occupied by Strongwater Food and Spirits before it closed in 2023. And the owner is Louis Papas. He comes from the Papas family, which is known for operating several eateries in and around Columbus.
And why did they even close in the first place?
Yeah, so the original deli opened in 1998 on West Broad Street and then operated for 16 years before closing in 2014. And nothing too controversial. The owners just wanted to focus on the catering side of their business, but now they thought now was a good time to bring it back.
And other than the catering, what other businesses does this family own or manage in Central Ohio?
Yeah, so they also own Tommy's Diner, which is sort of the staple on West Broad Street, and it has been a fixture in the local dining scene for more than 30 years. And it was even on Guy Fieri's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives in 2024.
Ooh, okay, perfect. Well, I guess we'll have to try that out then. Very exciting that it reopened in Franklinton. Now, Ava, I want to move on to you. A new coffee shop could be coming to Gahanna. So what is this company and where are they wanting to open in Gahanna?
Gahanna's Planning Commission has approved a proposal to build a Bigby Coffee at 348 Granville Street, which is currently a vacant site that sits right next to the Dairy Queen in the city. And Bigby is a franchise-based coffee chain with about 430 locations across 13 states.
So what is the timeline for this when people can expect to possibly see this shop open in Gahanna?
Gahanna's communications manager told me the city is currently reviewing the permits for the coffee shop. I reached out to Bigby to see what their timeline may be, but I have not heard back yet. Since the project is in the early stages, we don't have an exact opening date or timeline just yet. That's probably something we'll find out in the future.
Okay. And I know you mentioned earlier that they have hundreds of locations. How many locations do they have in Ohio currently?
Their website says that they have over 50 locations in Ohio, and those locations span across the entire state. Bigby has 5 locations in central Ohio, including 2 locations in Marysville, 1 in Lewis Center, and 1 in West Columbus. The chain also recently opened a location this spring in northeast Columbus near Gahanna in the parking lot of a Meijer.
And other than coffee, what else are they going to serve for customers?
Along with their hot, frozen, and iced coffees, the chain serves tea lattes, hot chocolate, smoothies, and energy drinks called Bigby Blasts. It also offers food options, including bagel sandwiches, which they call bragels, donut holes, muffins, and cookies.
A Bigby Blast. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of Bigby. And I didn't know if that was
you
like
haven't?
a popular chain. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, but there's also, you got to think there's already in Central Ohio, there's already a ton of coffee places and shops that are popping up that are local and chains. So yeah, have you guys ever had Bigby?
I've had it a couple times. I think it's like really big in Michigan, if I believe. And when you go to like northwest Ohio, there's a lot of Bigby there because they start to bleed in from Michigan. Okay. And so I've stopped by there a couple times when I'm in that area for sure.
Okay. That makes sense, I guess.
It's good. Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet, but I feel like there's been some more popping up around Central Ohio, so I think I should go try it.
I was gonna say same, and I feel like it's coffee, so like you can't go wrong with like trying out new coffee places.
Absolutely.
So. All right, finally moving on to our last story, David. Fox in the Snow announced earlier this year it's opening a new location in Central Ohio. So tell us more about this new cafe and when it's expected to open.
That's right. I'm super excited about this. So Fox is opening a new location. They're planning it for it to open this weekend in Westerville at 79 South State Street. And the coffee shop is taking over the space that was most recently home to a fast casual sushi eatery called Fusion. And it closed last year, and now Fox is taking over.
And, how many locations are there currently in Central Ohio? Because, Fox in the Snow, I feel like to me is one of the most popular local spots for cafes and coffee and all of that stuff.
Absolutely. It definitely is one of the most popular, and it is growing. So this is going to be the 5th location. So it opened first in Italian Village in 2014, followed by an expansion in German Village in 2018, then a location in New Albany in 2019, and most recently in Dublin in 2023. So this will be their 5th.
Okay, perfect. And I know Fox in the Snow, it's known for their breakfast sandwiches, which I have not yet tried, but what else does the cafe serve? I know we have pictures popping up of pastries and stuff.
Yeah,
and it looks pretty good.
They have fantastic pastries. I love their iced coffees. One of my go-tos is their iced New Orleans. I get that every time. But yeah, their egg sandwich is a big deal, and for good reason. I absolutely love it. It is so good, but it is very crummy. It is so messy. You definitely need the napkins or a plate, but it's so good.
I was going to say, I think we've talked about this story before when they first announced that they were coming to Westerville, and I've tried to go to the Dublin one before, and anytime I want to go, I guess I just have to be patient. There's always a line out the door.
Yeah.
Because, it's supposed to be good.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll have to try it soon.
It's
Ava,
worth
have you
it.
ever had Fox in the Snow?
I think I had it one time, years ago in high school, and it was good from what I remember, but I definitely need to go back and try it again.
I was going to say, definitely we'll have to either try one. I don't know if there's one near me in Obetz now. I think the closest one would be the one that's near downtown, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, maybe the German Village one.
The German Village
probably.
one. That's probably the closest one to me now. I guess I'll have to try it out.
Yeah.
David and Ava, thank you so much for joining me on Columbus Business Beat. We'll be back after this break to talk more about what Columbus Business First is working on with Mark Somerson. That's coming up again after this break. Welcome back to Columbus Business Beat. Mark joining me once again to talk more about what Columbus Business First has been working on. So plans have been approved for OhioHealth to move forward with its expansion project at Dublin Methodist Hospital. So when is this construction project expected to start up?
Yeah, they just approved the final development plan last week. This is for a 6-story, 207,000 square foot wing for their hospital. It's a $255 million expansion, which is humongous. It's part of a $1.5 billion in ongoing or planned construction by the largest health system in Central Ohio, which is OhioHealth. Mm-hmm. Completion is planned for 2028. That's when Dublin Methodist Hospital will turn 20, and that's basically the wing that they're putting it onto. It'll open up 48 private rooms and have another 48 built, but not quite equipped or staffed yet until that demand rises. And as you know, demand is rising, especially for hospital services. Every hospital system in Central Ohio is building right now. And yeah, $1.6 billion, $1.5 billion construction frenzy that OhioHealth is in right now. They're joining a children's hospital, which is building onto their main campus. Mm-hmm. OhioHealth is also building a bunch of other spaces. Ohio State, of course, is getting closer to opening up its big new tower. That was over $1 billion to build. And Mount Carmel is adding on, too. So this is a really big deal for OhioHealth, and getting that approval from the city of Dublin to keep adding on just means more and more patients and, of course, more and more revenue. And their revenue, we also reported last week, is up to close to $7 billion now.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. I remember when it hit around $4 billion a few years ago, and everybody was just wide-eyed looking at the finances over at OhioHealth. They're bringing it in. They're bringing in a lot of money. But these projects are huge. They also, if you don't forget from too long ago, they bought the Big Lots headquarters on Dublin Granville Road this year and have rezoned it, or at least applied to rezone that for hospital use. But the big projects are, of course, Ohio Riverside Methodist Hospital. They've got an inpatient and outpatient buildings for women's health. That's $600 million. Grant Medical Center that they're building on to an inpatient critical care tower, $400 million. Their comprehensive cancer center that's going to go in really close, is at $228 million. And then Bertiger Hospital, which they now own in Circleville, that's an $8.25 million project to renovate and co-locate the same-day surgery and pre- and post-operative bays. And then Canal Winchester, where they're building a $31 million freestanding emergency department and physician offices. So OhioHealth there are cranes everywhere for hospitals, but they're leading the pack now with just this huge blitz of building.
And I was going to say, it's crazy the amount of projects they have going on, just like all at the same time, along with all these other hospital systems. So has the company really said anything, more about the expansion and why it's so necessary to expand?
They say the growth, especially in Dublin, and Mount Carmel has one over there. Nationwide Children's has a Dublin center. Ohio State has close to home centers, but the population is growing so fast, and that people don't want to go outside of Dublin for care. They may not want to go to Riverside Methodist Hospital. They may not want to go downtown to Grant. So building these hospitals and then adding on as needed and giving themselves space for even more rooms down the road is a smart move for OhioHealth. They see this as an opportunity to keep growing, keep bringing in new patients, and then filling those beds as needed.
Okay. Well, Mark, moving on to our last story, Columbus Brewing planning to reopen in November. So are they coming back to their original location?
Yeah, as you know, they've also opened up a restaurant over at the East Market in the Trolley District. At the same time, a couple of years back, they closed their tap room in 2019. It opened in 2019, but closed it 2 years ago. At the time, the owner and brewmaster, Eric Bean, said there were difficulties juggling the operations of both that space and then the beer hall in the Trolley District. They wanted to find a better way to differentiate the two spaces. The plan, he said, was always to open up the West Side Tap Room again, and so they've decided to do it. It's not going to be every day. It's going to be sort of decked out for the holidays. They're going to open up November 6th and close January 4th. Their hours will be 2 to 9 p.m. on Thursdays and Fridays, noon to 9 p.m. on Saturdays, and noon to 8 on Sundays. So not every single day, but it's something for them. It's been a pop-up. They're committing to this pop-up for 2 months, but they said there's potential for longer run, especially beyond that holiday theme, which they'll do very well. They have a beer called Tracksuit Santa, which they bring out every year, and that's going to be part of this holiday rollout that they have at the tap room to bring people in. They're going to gauge then how much engagement there is with customers and see what the need is for keeping it open after that. But it's been missed. It's a great place. Food has always been good, and now they've decided to at least bring it back for a start.
And that's what I was going to ask next. Is there any changes expected to come with the reopening? Like, is the business going to do, operations a little differently with this pop-up?
Yeah, they haven't really decided at this point. Plus, there's another factor. There's repairs to the Harrison Road Bridge over I-670, which last month was damaged by a truck, which kind of hurts getting into that spot. So they're sort of playing it by ear right now. They said there'll be some operating changes. They had table service before. Orders are now going to be placed at the bar, which means there's going to be fewer need for wait staff, which is good for them. And they also solely relied on food trucks to feed their patrons. They're going to announce those partners soon. So at this point, once it is open, you can go to the bar, order your food from those food trucks. It'll be brought in then, and you can get it picked up. So they don't know exactly what the menu is going to look like yet and who's going to provide that food, but that'll come down the road. But for those fans of Columbus Brewing, and I am a big fan of Columbus Brewing, it's good news that it at least will be back during the holiday season and possibly more after then.
I was going to say, I'm really excited to see how it's going to look on the inside, because a couple of Columbus bars and restaurants, they kind of go all out with the holiday themes and stuff in November. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. And also, I like that there's going to be a possibility that they could be open longer too, depending on kind of how they're going to do with these 2 months, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And this is something that beer companies are facing around the country right now. Younger people are not drinking as much. They're not drinking as much in liquor, and they're not drinking as much in beer. And tap rooms have had to cut back because of that. The people my age, of course, continue to drink a lot, but people who are in their 20s are not drinking as much. So they're trying to figure this out, adjusting hours, adjusting their menus, seeing whether this is something that can be sustained with people drinking less, and maybe that'll change. People might start drinking more again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining me. And that's going to do it for this episode of Columbus Business Beat. As always, the show is produced in partnership with Columbus Business First and is available to watch in multiple places. Each week, the program will premiere at 6:30 p.m. Thursday on the NBC4 Columbus streaming channel. The app is available for download on smart TVs with Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Latest episode will also be available for watching on demand under the featured shows section. The program will be available the following Mondays for additional viewing on NBC4i.com and on NBC4's YouTube channel. Of course, for more information, just visit NBC4i.com/stream. And of course, for more information about Business First and how you can subscribe, go to columbusbusinessfirst.com, or you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. We'll see you here next week on the NBC4 Columbus streaming channel.